Here we go. It is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. Next time you're down at the banks, you know the deal. Stop by, visit our good friends at the Holy Grail. It's going to be chaos this weekend with SantaCon. But next weekend, the Bearcats take on Dayton downtown and make it your pregame spot. Get to the Holy Grail, and they will get you taken care of. Great food, lots of drinks, including 50 cents, an additional on top of what already gets donated to Cincy Reigns, an additional 50 cents from every Cincy Light sold at the Holy Grail will go directly into Cincy Reigns. All right, let's get to this. Hi, David.
Hello. How are you?
How are you?
Oh,
good.
I'm great. Thank you for asking.
It was a pretty big day for the Bearcats in the transfer portal, was it not, good sir?
I think it was a very strong day when you get a quarterback transfer, which at this stage in the portal window, it's pretty, clear and obvious that Brendan Sorsby was their top target, because you wouldn't be taking a commitment on Wednesday of portal week if that wasn't the case. I would assume.
Well, let's before we get directly into Sorsby, let's go ahead and talk about our good friends at TeamTicker. We're talking portal. It's portal season. Portal season brought to you by our good friends at TeamTicker. You see it right there. All the good information you need on the Bearcats. You can find it on your TeamTicker. Put it in your man cave. Put it in your dorm room. They are up in all of the suites. Aaron's got the Bearcat. I've got the Sea Paw. They're on all the suites at Fifth Third Arena. They are an excellent way to keep up with the Bearcats, and they look great as well. Right now, Christmas sale, $50 off using the promo code HOLIDAY. All caps, HOLIDAY. When you go to checkout at TeamTicker.com, that'll save you $50, and your Bearcat fan will love it when they've got that thing on Christmas morning and they open it up. So if we're talking portal, let's get into Brendan Sorsby. I think here's the telling thing, Dave. The portal opened on December 4th. Guess who was on campus on December 4th? Brendan Sorsby.
December 4th, December 5th, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was here until this morning.
Monday,
Yeah, he took the full, which in the portal era, you don't see a lot of full 48-hour visits.
Probably not. No, but usually it's like a come in, stay night,
stay overnight,
then
wake
do
up,
something.
have breakfast, do the tour, meet everybody.
Quarterbacks might be a little different, but
sure. But I think there was clearly on both sides momentum to get this thing done on this visit, if at all possible. What's that tell you? That tells you he was their number one quarterback target. That's not that hard to figure out. And he clearly was their number one quarterback target. And I think it says a lot about the recruiting staff and their ability to say, all right, we're going to go get our guy. And they went and got their guy. And I think that's a really good start to portal season for the Bearcats.
Well, I think, too, the quarterback position in the portal, there are a lot out there, but you better be, from the team standpoint and the player standpoint, you want to try to wrap this up quick.
Yeah, because you'll get leapfrogged.
If you're the team, if the player, if you do all your due diligence and you meet and they're just not ready to commit, well, then your second, third, fourth guys might have already set up visits to places, and you might not even get a chance to bring them in because the other team that they are talking to does what UC just did. And if you're the player and it doesn't work out, it's kind of the same thing. The other places that might have told you they were interested on Monday, when you told them you're going to visit UC, they went, okay, well, now we're going to try to bring in whoever is next on our list, and they might wrap that up while you're visiting UC. So both sides need, it's imperative that both sides kind of hone in on their top guy, and the player hones in on the school that he thinks best fits him, and you try to make it work, because you could both be kind of left in the lurch. Now, if you're an elite quarterback, a Dylan Gabriel, the rumors are he's going to go to Oregon or whatever, I'm pretty sure he could probably play this game out a little bit longer. But those guys are few and far between. And it's funny, I was looking at the 2023, and we'll get into this later just to probably talk about transfer portal in general. But looking at like the 24/7 2023 top 25 transfer quarterbacks, I mean, not great, Bob.
No.
And so you kind of get into do you want the 1 year rental? Do you want someone that you can build with? I think in UC's current state, the someone you can build with is the right plan of attack. You're not a quarterback away from like challenging for the Big 12 championship. Right. So find someone that fits your system. Find someone that has shown ability at the high major level, but that you can still develop and that still has development left in them. It wasn't, I don't want to use it as like a negative, but like that was always the thing with Emory Jones, was like, he comes in, I kind of knew exactly what he was, and he kind of played to exactly what it was. What's the saying? What's the back of your baseball card is the whole cliche. Like, I've seen you play for 5 years. I kind of know who you are. You don't see a lot of dudes that have played for 5 years and then all of a sudden do something to the positive that they had never shown themselves to do.
Right. And it's also like I've gotten a lot of today, like he had the same completion percentage as Emory Jones. Well, that was a career completion percentage for Emory Jones, and the first 5-6 games of his career in a terrible, like, let's also be clear, that was a terrible offense.
Yeah.
Just dreadful offense. The offensive line was terrible. What were they? I think they were 104th in rushing. Just a bad offense.
Yeah, I mean,
so for him to put up the numbers he did, I think it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, my thing is like you're coming in. He played in one game last year, QB battle for the most part of this season or this summer. They gave the starting job to Tavian Jackson. That didn't work out. Who, by the way, was a transfer from Tennessee. So he plays the last 6 or 7 games, whatever it was. And so you fire your offensive coordinator in the middle of that. And you're basically playing your first real games with a new offensive coordinator on an offense that can't run the ball. So I don't think that's not really great for a first-time quarterback.
And can't block.
Yeah, I mean, he was sacked like 16 times in those, I guess, 6 starts or whatever.
Here's what jumps out at me, Dave. He played 6 games. Emory Jones played 12. Emory Jones had 18 touchdown passes in 12 games. Brendan Sorsby had 15 and 6. I like that ratio, but like I know which ratio I like better.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think he seems to be in the limited amount that I've been able to watch so far. Like, he is what I had been talking about in wanting. Much more of a passer that has the ability to get himself out of trouble. You can design a few things for him. I saw they did some kind of read option keeper stuff. But he's not. His bread and butter is not going to be running the football. I mean, he had almost 500 yards non-sack adjusted.
Yeah.
400 yards, 500 yards non-sack adjusted.
In 6 games.
But I think he rushed for 200 and something yards.
I know, but that was in 6 games.
Right.
Now, what I would say, Dave, I think you would agree, like, when he's running the read option, when he keeps it, it's to keep you honest. Like, you're not dialing him up 10, 12 times a game to run the football.
He sees the defense is out of position, or they see that the edges are just crashing down because they don't think he's going to keep the ball. Yeah, we're not quarterback drawing and doing stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, my whole point was, can he get himself out of trouble? Can he run if he has to? But is the quarterback much more of a thrower than even what I would call dual threat? Like, the stuff he did over the middle of the field, that was like a virtual wasteland for UC this year.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff on tape is him placing balls middle of the field, over linebacker, before safety. A lot of, what I would call NFL style routes, throws. So, it's get him in here and get acclimated to the system. Now they got to go out and get some more weapons, because they need some more wide receivers. They need to get better at that position. If you're going to bring in a new quarterback, you got to support him. So
I want to get to that in a second. One thing that did jump out at me, Dave, that I haven't seen anybody mention yet, in terms of him as a runner, he was recruited by Army and Navy to play quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, obviously somebody that knows a thing or two about quarterbacks, like, and running quarterbacks, felt that he was a guy that could run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is just another, like, side note on because there's people that look at him 6'3", 230, like, well, is he going to be able to do the rushing part of the offense? I wouldn't sweat that too much. I think he will be.
And I obviously I cannot speak for how Sat wants to design and run his offenses, but for me, like, the quarterback just needs to be an additive element in the run game. It doesn't need to be like your second leading rusher. You just can't have a stiff back there who just can't move and is literally just a Joe Flacco type, stationary, big arm pocket passer. Like that doesn't work. Offensive line play in the NFL stinks. You think it's going to be good, like, across 130 something teams in college? Like, you got to be able to get yourself out of trouble, but you also got to be able to get yourself out of trouble while also keeping your eyes down the field. And there was one clip I saw, I want to say it was against either Illinois or Maryland, where he kind of climbed in the pocket and easily could have taken off, but kind of kept his eyes up and was able to complete a decent, air yard, 20-yard pass or so down the field because of that. So, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, can you maneuver? Can you get yourself out of trouble? Can you pick, if it's a total bust, can you pick up 3 or 4 yards just to get you into 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6, versus a sack or, no gain. Like, I don't need you to break it for a 40-yard gain necessarily. I mean, sure, if you can, that's amazing and great. But that is not what I think they are looking for, what they need.
Yeah, just a guy, like, in that situation, a guy that can keep you from getting way behind the chains. As it doesn't have to be 50 yards. It can be a 4-yard gain that is actually 10 yards because he was going to get sacked for a loss of 6. The wide receiver stuff is interesting, Dave, because we haven't heard anything yet, but I kind of feel like that's a good thing when it comes to Xavier Henderson. If Xavier Henderson is back and you have Aaron Turner and Barry Jackson in the slot, and Evan Prater as one of your rotation guys on the outside, on the opposite Xavier Henderson. If you go get one more, like if you go get one starting receiver, I feel like your wide receiver, like that they need more depth there, obviously.
Yeah,
And they need some young guys to
I'm
develop.
sure they're going to try to go out and get more than just because two of the
I
guys.
know, but I'm talking about top of the roster.
Two of the guys they got coming in that are freshmen are also slots. So, yeah, I mean, for sure. And I think too, we have not. I don't. Other than, well, we've seen a couple. We've seen Robert Lewis from Georgia State. That's publicly said he has an offer, and then it looks like he's visiting next weekend. We've seen,
and he's the guy that Stepp was the lead recruiter on.
Yeah,
at Georgia State. And
visiting Auburn this weekend. Yeah. We've seen a couple others. Keyshawn Williams from Wake Forest, the kid from North Texas. I believe he. But my point being is, this is how the portal works. Some of these guys will put every offer they get out. Some of them won't put anything.
Some of them won't even announce they committed, like Xavier Henderson.
Right. And some of them will have the coaching staff tell them to not put anything out.
Right.
And because
notice Brendan Sorsby was very quiet.
He was very well. I mean, just saying, like, we obviously know they're looking at running backs. They have, I think, two currently on the roster? Corey Kiner and Manny Covey.
Yeah, I think that might be about it.
So they're obviously looking at them. They're talking to them. I've not found any of them that have publicly said that they have been offered. So, it's just the way it works in the portal era. You got to do a little bit more digging to find out what's real and what's not. Apparently there was a defensive end or edge player from Auburn tonight, right as we were getting on here, that tweeted out he was offered when apparently he was not. Keegan told me that, so I took that tweet down.
You gotta love when that happens.
I know. It's not the first time it's happened, that's for sure.
Go ahead.
But no, it's Matt brings up Donovan McCauley. I think he's going to end up I won't say out of UC's price range, but he's Michigan, Penn State have offered. So we'll see. I mean, I know there's a connection, obviously, with the quarterback. I would love to see them be interested in Jalen Lucas, who is a undersized but extremely fast running back / kick returner that I think would complement Corey very well. Keegan's put a couple new running back names up on the board, so check those out. And I've also been told there will be an article tomorrow, but it is VIP only. So make sure you are subscribed. Is our 60% off thing still running?
Till midnight.
Till midnight. Well, there you go.
Until midnight.
Get the deal. Then you get Keegan's fresh article tomorrow morning, or whenever he posts it. I guess I shouldn't say tomorrow morning. I do not know.
Yeah, at some point in time, it'll be posted.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think you get the quarterback taken care of. That's priority A, B, and C. Like, we know that the DBs need a lot of help, and there's a lot of DBs in the portal. There's only so many quarterbacks that fit, okay, we want a younger guy. Okay, we want this type of passer. He fits this type of offense. Like, there's only so many guys that fit into that. So I think it's crucial to take care of that first. And now it opens you up to wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. You can sell the quarterback. You can sell, all those things. And then you can at the same time work on your defense needs as well.
Here's what's, I think, important to me, Dave. This time last year, Satterfield had just retired. Guys were leaving. You were looking at the offense and going, they have to get a whole new offense. Like an entirely new offense. They're going to have to get an entirely new offense. Mm-hmm. Now, December 6th, your starting offensive line is coming back. Your top running back is returning. there is a chance that your number 1 wide receiver is returning. Your number 2 and number 3 slot guys are returning. Your number 2 field receiver is returning. You probably need a little help at tight end, but you still have Joey Belgian and Peyton Singletary there, and 2 freshmen coming in. At this point, it's okay, I think, to feel decent about the offense. Does that mean they're done? No. But it means that there are a lot more answers than there are questions as we sit here December 6th.
Yeah, you at least have an idea of, like, this is what we have and this is what we need to go get. Like, I still think they need more big playability at wide receiver and running back. But you at least know that now. Like, you are specifically, like, Keegan put up a name of a running back that, had 29 explosive runs this year per Pro Football Focus. I mentioned Jalen Lucas. Like, there's receivers out there that are more of the game breaker type. But yeah, you have, I still think that, I think there needs to be an effort to find at least one tackle and have some competition there. Bringing all 5 back is good, but as we've talked about before, experience doesn't necessarily mean better. Sure. And I don't think anyone can really argue that the tackles need to be better, whether that's John Williams and DeAndre Buford or somebody else. They need to be better.
Right.
So
Philip Wilder, Ethan Green,
yeah,
transfer,
and it's hard.
Need to be better.
And again, finding tackles is very hard.
Yeah.
And the tackle sees, oh, I got all 5 guys coming back. Like, how realistic of a shot do I have to unseat someone? So, like, finding some of these top flight tackles where they're picking the school because they are legitimately like, here's an opening and you're sliding right in there.
Yeah. We don't have a starting left tackle and you are it.
And you might, one might argue that neither does UC, but
technically they do.
Right.
They had 2 guys start at tackle all year, and they're coming
exactly. In. So, in my mind, they're maybe looking for someone that is
developmental potentially.
Maybe, but more even like has starting experience, can challenge one of these guys, whether it's left or right. And then if they don't beat him out, then you've got a solid number 2. Because, right now, Chad, who are the number 2s? Even.
Right now you would think
Philip Wilder and Ethan Green. One of them has never played. One played about half this year. No, I wouldn't even say half. I would guess snap count DeAndre Buford still had
30%, maybe
significantly more snaps. So yeah. So, I still think they could address that, but it's a hard position to address. And so we'll just see how that goes.
I wouldn't be opposed if you see a guy that maybe somebody has a connection to from high school that got buried on a depth chart somewhere that has like the requisite size.
Right.
It's like, a Big Ten tackle that was 6'7", 310 and didn't see the field somewhere and has 3 years of eligibility remaining. These are hypotheticals. These are not hints.
No.
Calm down, everybody. Hypothetically, like if you see something like that, I wouldn't mind taking a gamble on something like that. But you're right. It's going to be hard to just sell a guy on, hey, come in here and compete for a starting job, because there's a whole bunch of places that are looking for quarterbacks that don't need much competition when it comes to winning a starting job.
Yeah. I know there's a guy with Spencer Brown, Michigan State. From all sounds of it, like their fans are not disappointed that he's leaving. And I think he committed to Oklahoma today because he's just going to slide right into some tackle spot. So, yeah, we'll see offensively. Defensively, there hasn't been – and there's been names. There's been stuff that we've posted. Visits are happening, but nothing major yet. As you can expect, or as you could expect, a lot of secondary guys. Corners and safeties.
Look, I don't care what anybody says. Tuning in Clark Griswold style from the roof is that Nick, don't hurt yourself.
We will not be liable in any lawsuits.
If you're on a ladder, you can watch the replay. Like, I appreciate you.
I better not get a call from Blake Maislin.
4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Good evening, Adele. What's up with the IU receiver, Donovan McCauley? I don't sense. I know there was some talk of him being a quote unquote package deal. Keegan was immediately reprimanded for that phrase because I hate it.
I mean,
they don't ever exist.
In my expert digging, I have not seen any connection between him and UC.
Right. It
doesn't mean that it's not happening. Right. But because believe me, these coaches are.
Well, here's the thing. Guess what you're also working with at this time? Like now, Dave, you're working with a budget. Like you kind of have an idea of how much NIL money you have to work with.
Yeah.
I don't think number one wide receiver is at the top of the priority list.
No.
Mainly because I think edge rusher and defensive backs. Now that you have quarterback answered, edge rusher, defensive backs.
Yeah, like a lot of them.
Yeah. Adele, we wish that Ryan had another year too. That would make all of this much easier right now if Ryan had another year. But yeah, what have you seen as they look around? If there's visits, we'll leave that stuff all on the board. But in terms of the social media, public chatter, what have you seen in terms of DBs and edge rushers that have caught your eye?
Let's see. DBs, I'm looking at like, what's your production been? Whether it's been interceptions, tackles, stuff like that. And if you don't have a bunch of production, is it why is it? Are you in a very high level school that's had really good players at your position? And if you don't have the production yet, say you're a younger guy, you don't have the production yet, I'm looking at what are your measurables? What is your athletic, or what are your athletic traits? Because they obviously I'd love to get guys that have production and great athletic traits. But if you're young and you haven't really gotten on the field yet, but you kind of check all those boxes, I'm intrigued. And then if you've either intercepted the ball a lot or shown that you are around the ball a lot, then I'm also intrigued. And I think they're in on some of those guys. And then for the edges,
what Dave doesn't want is corners with a lot of tackles.
Yeah, I don't really need to see safeties get
Right.
Get too many tackles in college football for some reason. Like, Threats.
Well, a lot of them play in the box. Like
Threats
their
and
box
Pace were our leading tacklers last year. Like, I know they're recruiting a kid that from Ball State that's like, 155 tackles in 2 years. There's another guy that I can't keep him all straight at this point, had like 230 tackles in 3 years. So that's what I'm looking at. And then on the edge, I think the kid, I want to say John Pius from William and Mary, he might be the current player that I want them to get the most.
Okay.
40 and a half tackles for loss, 24 and a half sacks in his career. Jim Nagy, our Senior Bowl buddy, was at one of his games earlier this year scouting. And if you can get Jim Nagy to come to your game at William and Mary and you're on the Senior Bowl watch list, then I'm very, very interested.
Makes sense. I know you're like, we all know you're a big Jim Nagy guy.
Well, I mean, if you're at William and Mary, and
I'm
you're
not saying it's wrong.
first team FCS All-American, and you're, on their list of guys that if you enter the draft, they're going to invite you to the Senior Bowl, which they certainly would have. I mean, the guy had a very good year again this year. So him coming back and entering the portal, he's a draftable player right now if you're going to the Senior Bowl. So I would certainly be interested in them adding him at kind of like an outside linebacker, stand-up edge player.
Yes.
Then I'm looking at some of these other edges that are, I think the one kid from Eastern Michigan is visiting this week. There's a guy they offered from Purdue that's grabbing offers left and right. And these guys are much more in your 6'5", 250 to 260 range, which is, I think, what they needed. They need more size, but not the bulk size, like the longer. I don't even know if I would say these guys are twitchier, so to speak, but they need the bigger power players, I think.
Bendy.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Bendy, flexible, off the edge. So yeah, I mean, they're going to rush in various ways. So getting all sorts of these guys. But I mean, they need edges. I didn't think they necessarily needed linebacker as much as they think they need linebacker. So because they're offering several and interested in others. So maybe it's in more of a rush standpoint than the two, kind of the two that they typically played last year.
Yeah. I do also think you're going to need to start restocking the middle as well.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that is something you look for young guys in the portal. I don't think there's going to be a lot of those guys. Big space eating, power defensive linemen also are something that you don't see a lot of often in the transfer portal.
Oh, Walter Nolan from Texas A&M's in the transfer portal. I'm sure they could get him.
Probably go get him for $15-20 in NIL money.
Well, he'll probably go to Tennessee, so we don't have to worry about it. That's where he should have gone in the first place. But that's for another conversation. Texas A&M, rough day in the portal today, let's just say the least.
Right. That number one class in 2022 is not holding up well.
No, it's not. But I have noticed too there obviously are a good number of the 1 year guys, but it does feel like we are looking at a lot of the 2 and 3 year players, and I wonder if that becomes more of an interest to schools outside of the quarterback position, or the schools that are right there. They think they're right there for next year in the expanded playoff. Right there in the playoff position, where they we just need a couple guys and we need them to be older and slide them right in and we're good.
Right.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to keep tracking how the whole portal thing works, because so many schools say they don't want to be portal programs, but if all these guys, there's over 1,000 kids. So,
yeah, that was day one. That was just day one.
It's almost impossible to be we're not, you're gonna have. It seems like at a minimum, and 10 guys leave. And it doesn't have to be for bad reasons. They just be coach, I'm not playing. I want to go play. Like,
Right.
I love you. I love being here, but we kick ass, but you've done a great job recruiting, and I just want to go play somewhere. But it just seems like, the Dabos who don't want to have anything to do with the portal, I think that's a losing proposition to have that attitude. But, it's going to be interesting. Some of these schools like Colorado, Houston now with a new coach, because Dana did not set him up very well to not be a portal program.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to watch how this goes. It'll be interesting to watch how the quarterback thing plays itself out. You got a lot of talented guys out there still. Some of the rumors out there are hilarious in my mind, like $1 million, $2 million for Cam Ward. Like, okay, Cam Ward's a pretty good player, but I don't know if I didn't see $1 to $2 million worth of talent at Washington State. Now, maybe
Well, but that also just tells you how much of a premium quarterback is. Like,
I know
teams obviously see the value in it. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah,
like they know. Here's what is a known, Dave. Can't be bad at quarterback.
No, it's tough to win football games if you're bad at quarterback.
You have to be good at that position. Like, you don't have to be great at that position, but you have to be above average. You have to be above the fold. You have to be good at quarterback. And then your other things, like, it doesn't matter if you have a good defense and a good run game, but if your quarterback can't lead you down the field in the fourth quarter, especially in a power conference, your quarterback can't lead you down the field in the fourth quarter and get you a touchdown, you're in trouble. That's the other thing I wanted to get to, Dave. In Sorsby's last 3 games at IU, they had 10 trips to the red zone. You know how many touchdowns they scored?
8.
10.
That's pretty good.
Given the problems that this team had this year, I will take a quarterback that is above average in the red zone.
Well, I mean, it's not all on him for sure.
I know it's not all on him. I'm not saying it's all on him, but it's better than taking a guy that was in the red zone 10 times in his final 3 games and scored 4 touchdowns and kicked 6 field goals or 5 field goals or whatever. Like, that is an indication, at least, that when you get into those situations, you should have a guy that can help you deliver. Not necessarily be the only guy that delivers, but at least help you deliver.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Unless you're Iowa. Yeah. The best bad team in the history of college football.
Well, my bet cashed.
Did you bet the under?
I bet under first half 2.5 points.
Oh wow! You didn't take it at 0.5?
It wasn't available at that.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm sure I could have it like an alternate spread or something, but I'm just mad I didn't do more.
My best friend's wife is a Michigan fan, and they went Saturday to the Big Ten championship game. And I was telling her about that. Like, she ended up going. She went with Kelsey Saturday to the men's game, the Gulf Coast game. So I was talking to her Saturday as they were driving up to Indy, and I was like, "You should tell Al to bet the under." And she was like, "What's the under?" And I was like, "Last I saw it, it was at 0.5." And she's like, 0.5? Like, the bet is that they won't score in the first half? And I was like,
well, I wouldn't
better than 50%.
Changed it because, like, what is the point of having a 0.5? You can't get 1 point.
Sure, I guess
even if you block an extra point, it's worth 2.
Right, 1.5.
So, like, I guess that's probably why they changed it to 2.5. I mean, I guess 1.5 you could have because they could get a safety, which they've gotten plenty of in their day. But yeah, I was sweating it though. Michigan's in the first half. Michigan's punter shanked one.
Yep.
And then they started at like the 40-yard line. I'm like, oh my god, they're going to be in field goal range in like one possession, like if they get one first down, and then forget what happened. Did they turn it over or something happened? And I was very happy. But
didn't they throw an interception right after the shank
yeah,
punt?
they might have been like. But yeah, so. But no, I do love Portal season. I'm digging on the Twitter and always trying to find connections and things.
I'm telling you, I think it's your new draft. Well, at least here's the thing: it gives you something to do in December leading up to draft season.
Yeah,
because in January you kind of
a week ago I was looking at tankathon.com to see how the Bengals could get a pick in the top 10, and now
you got them in the playoffs.
Now they win one game, and they're one game out of the playoffs because the back half of the AFC stinks, and they play the three teams in front of them. They play in the next 3 weeks, so it's like you win all three of those games, or next 4 weeks you win all those games, and you're just going to make the playoffs.
And they all have backup quarterbacks. What, 4 of their last 5 games?
4 of the 5. Yeah. So yeah.
The only starter they play is Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you got anything else in the portal you wanna talk about?
No, I think just remind everybody that Keegan's going to have an article tomorrow that's going to be VIP. So if you're not a member, you can still take advantage of the 60% off yearly subscription until the end of tonight, and then you can get his fresh portal article. I don't know what it's going to be about. I don't know if it's a hot board or if it's about
I know he's
Sorsby
I know he's supposed to be talking to Sorsby tonight.
Oh, maybe that's what it is about.
Yeah. So kudos to Keegan. My boy grinding.
Yeah,
grinding.
Man.
He loves it. He's ate up. He's like us.
Does he?
He does. Yeah. I keep checking on him bro, you don't if it's overwhelming, I understand. And he's like, oh, this is great. I love this shit. Okay. Well, he didn't say shit because he doesn't really cuss. He did drop an F-bomb last night on the nightcap, which blew me and Aaron away. We were like, we didn't think you said that word.
He doesn't cuss? How did he get hired here?
He does cuss, but it's judiciously. It's not as freely as the rest of us.
He's Bearcat Journal's Scott Satterfield. Gee golly, all shucks.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Well, if that's all we got on the portal, let's get to our timestamp, which for some reason now there it is.
Oh, I do.
It's brought to you.
Hold on, I do want one thing on the portal, real quick.
Okay.
I did it on purpose because I knew it would mess with people. But on Monday, when I put the "Let's Go Portaling" and the Kroger guy dancing, I knew it would make people sing their song in their head all day. Let's go Portaling, and just annoy the hell out of people. And I got several messages like, "Why did you do that?" Because now that's all I'm thinking about. So,
and messages that guy looks exactly like Austin Elmore.
That was very funny.
He does. It's kind of spooky how much that guy looks like Austin Elmore.
Is he Croji?
Timestamp brought to you by Turtles Brew. 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free, 6% ABV, bourbon-infused sweet tea, cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla, lemonade tea, and strawberry mint. There's over 100 locations in Ohio. Visit turtlesbrew.com for information and locations. A portion of the proceeds go to Save the Sea Turtles. They are in Toledo and expanding now in Central Ohio, Cleveland, pretty much throughout the state. So get to turtlesbrew.com. They will get you taken care of. Dave, I think so. You remember this, right?
Yes, I do.
So the gentleman that works for New Riff that gave it to me said, don't worry about saving it. Drink it. I gave it to you to drink. I didn't give it to you to save. And if they make a Final Four, I will get everybody on the BCJ staff one with the logo, and you all can drink it together.
All they got to do is make the Final Four.
like a footballer, but well, that was what we were talking about, right? Like I was going to save it,
Oh,
special
okay,
occasion bottle, and open it like if they made a Final Four or something along those lines. And he said no, drink it. So maybe what I'll need to do is see if I can. I think I know a spot up in Kenwood. Got radio tomorrow. I'll try to get some Turtles brew, and then if Cincinnati wins the shootout, we're gonna have this thing on Saturday night.
Oh, for a little nightcap.
A live nightcap, maybe some Turtles brew, maybe mixed with a little new riff on top. I will probably do the the lemonade tea.
Berg?
We'll see. I worry about what mental state Berg is in during the shootout. I don't know what mental state he will be in after the shootout. If they win, I will contact him and see. But then I also worry, what would Berg say on a live broadcast after a win at Centos?
Might be the creamiest episode ever.
It might be the lost episode that there's one playing of it and then it gets deleted from existence.
Yeah.
Robert says that trash savior team isn't worth the Kansas Steel Reserve. Whoa. I do want to get to, before we get to the shootout, which we will do here shortly. Press conference yesterday, Dave. Satterfield, Dante Corleone, Mason Fletcher, Corey Kiner, Gavin Gerhardt, Luke Kandra. When you look at this thing, like, are we looking at what has kind of been best case since the end of the season? Yeah, you hate to lose Shaman. Yeah, you hate to lose Miles Montgomery. I think everybody has kind of gotten an understanding of why they moved on from Peace and Threats, even though they were both talented Power 5 level contributors. Are we at kind of best case in terms of, I don't know what would have, been considered better given the season that they've had, and that they are able to trot out what, consists of two guys that have been All-American, honorees, your all-conference guys, kind of your foundation. Like, I think it sends a really good message, or maybe even a necessary, a needed message, that this thing is not fractured, that we still have a lot of buy-in, and now we have a core returning. That also makes it a little tougher going forward, right? Because excuses or reasons are reduced now, because you do have, when you look at this roster, enough to build on, I think.
Yeah, I do think it's a nice bit of self-reflection. And, I don't think that press conference was on accident.
No, of course it wasn't.
Of
course not.
But it still takes you to, see that from the inside and go, things didn't go the way we hoped. Let's not pretend that didn't happen. Let's not bury our heads in the sand and think that fans are just going to be okay. At the same time, if you're upset about the season, a press conference after the season's over probably not going to change a ton of people's minds in the same sense.
No, of course not.
But,
I'm not saying it's going to change anybody's mind.
No,
I'm
but
saying,
I still think it was a smart thing to do, and it was, I will give him credit, Scott Satterfield credit. I was happy with what he said in the offseason, because it seemed to be forthright and honest and not a bunch of coach BS. And I thought some things that he said in that press conference were the same way. It was interesting talking about, ownership and, player, bringing guys in, letting the players not determine, but have a voice. I think from a strictly football standpoint, I think it would have been great if Miles and Shaman were still here. They're probably certainly from an offensive standpoint, I mean, Shimon led the team in touchdown receptions. Miles is a solid runner. Certainly would have helped, but and I'm not saying that this is the case with necessarily the case with either of them or any other transfer, but the coaching staff knows much more than we know, and when you have a rough first year, you sometimes have to make decisions that you maybe wouldn't have to make if things were going better. And certain things are easier to maybe paper over when there's more success. But you cannot afford to allow a small problem to become a big problem after you have a 3-9 season. So sometimes you have to do things that you maybe don't want to do.
Yeah, I mean, the message had to be clear. Like, this wasn't good enough. Like, you can't, and he did a little bit say, like, that we lost some games we should have won. If we win those games, things look a little bit different. Of course, that's what a coach is going to say. He's defending the work that they did. But he also followed that up with, we didn't get the job done because we weren't disciplined enough. We weren't, in coaching speak, tough enough. People think tough enough when coaches say it is about like pushing the guy in front of you around. When coaches say it, it's about not jumping for a kick, a punt that bounces over your head and grazing it with your fingertips. That, in coaching speak, is toughness. Having the mental toughness to say, don't do it. Don't do it. Bad idea, don't do it. That kind of stuff is what coaches consider toughness. And UC did not have enough mental fortitude in those games that they could have won. I think it's important for him to address that and acknowledge that we needed to be better when the chips were down and we weren't.
Well, and you always have a postseason sort of wrap up media availability. They just did it this week instead of last week, or whatever.
Yeah, give me a break, Chad.
Because they didn't have a media availability the week after the Kansas game.
Right. They generally don't. A lot of times they don't, though. They let everybody kind of decompress for a week. That's what they did. A coach putting together that presser reeks of desperation. He's not supposed to trot out his 2 All-Americans, his 2 captains, and his 1,000-yard running back that have all announced their return.
Well, if he didn't say anything, if we didn't hear from him again until National Signing Day, people would be like, "Well,
what's he hiding from?
He's just hiding. He's not even willing to face the music, So whatever.
Right.
I mean, that's why I don't take much for press conferences, especially like post game ones. What do you think these guys are going to say? We lost another one because so and so doesn't know how to get off a damn block, or this guy's out with his girlfriend until 4:00, and we've been talking to him about this for 3 weeks, and he won't stop doing it. Like, what do you think they're going to say? Like, I never take very much of anything from these things. There's nothing to be gained from you want him to be ultra honest. He was ultra honest about something earlier in the season, and the fans got mad at him for saying what he said about the running backs. So, we can't have it both ways. Right.
We want him to be ultra honest, but we don't want him to hurt anybody's feelings. And when he, has a situation where I always crack up. Ask him the tough questions. He was given a chance to answer, was this season good enough? Answer was no, it's not good enough. We weren't good enough at the little things that lead to winning at this level of college football, which, again, Dave, we talked about this all season. was something this program did not adjust to well in year one in the Big 12. But that's also not a surprise if you watch the last 2 seasons in the American, where they screwed around and let teams that they should be beating by 30 kind of just, they get up by 14 and they put it in cruise. They give up a touchdown, and all of a sudden it's a 7-point game with a team, an American Conference team that's got 3 wins on the season. Like, they did way too much of that for 2 seasons. And it's hard to just flush that. We don't have to play great every week. No, you do in this league. You got to be really good every week. And if you're bad, you're going to be fighting tooth and nail, no matter who the opponent is. And if you're bad against teams that are pretty good, you're going to get your ass kicked because you can't keep up.
Everybody needs to be better. And at this time of year, the way you get better is you add to the roster. You're not going to get better coaching on December 6th. That's for later on. So right now, the way they can get better is add impactful pieces to the roster. Sign your recruiting class in 2 weeks. I don't know. Maybe they'll have a couple other high school kids join that class. I don't know. I'm just guessing that maybe they will. But either way, like right now, the way they get better is to add the best players they can get. And then the coaches can then get better at coaching stuff and figuring out, like, we called this way too much. We don't need to call this as much, or we didn't call this enough, or these are our tendencies on 3rd and short that we didn't realize we were falling into this, but we were, and we need to break those tendencies more frequently next year. We're
going to be in a league for year 2 where we have a better understanding week to week of what a lot of our opponents want to do, like knowledge that you didn't have going into this season.
Yes,
there's a lot to it. I'm exhausted from a lot of it. Dave, is the one thing about the internet that drives me nuts. The one thing about like sports talk culture, social media culture in 2023. The people that decided the day that he was hired that he was a bad hire now have to be validated by him being a bad hire. They have no interest in him working out. They want him to fail because they want to be able to say, look how smart I was the day he was hired.
Yeah.
Well, do I know if Scott Satterfield's going to work? Nope.
That seems counterproductive to being
a fan.
Well, not even a fan, just a well-adjusted human being.
Human. But that's what it is. Like you've got your take, you've made your take, and by God, Dave, your take is going to be right come hell or high water.
Oh well. I've been right and wrong about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I don't remember any of it really because it's not that big of a deal. But, we're just trying to see what a program can do to get better. And I think they had a day today where they got better. And, we'll see how this whole thing works out. There's, more guys are going to be going into the portal. They're building those relationships. I mean, it's clear that things are going on behind the scenes, but we'll see, what this staff was put together to accomplish. We'll have our answers here in a couple weeks.
Right, because they're going to want to get as much of this done either before Christmas if possible or like that week between Christmas and New Year's, because right after that, you're going to be going back to school. And, once school starts up, guys are going to need to be enrolled. And it takes a couple days to get accepted to the university and to fill out your scholarship papers and do that whole 9 yards. So, between now and Christmas week, the week, the week leading up to Christmas, there should be a lot of movement. I agree. Like this was a step in the right direction because, as we mentioned at the beginning of this segment, you now have your starting offensive line. You have your running back. You have your quarterback. You have your anchor on defense. You have your All-American punter, who I thought it was fascinating to learn. He played with a sports hernia all year.
Yeah,
That
I noticed
explains
in
a
his,
lot.
like in his tweet about coming back when he talked about battling
Being
injuries,
healthy.
I was
That's
like,
why I asked. That's
didn't
why I
even know
asked.
you were hurt.
Right. That's an Australian rules football guy, right? Play as a punter. I imagine playing all year as a punter with a sports hernia is not pleasant.
No, I don't think doing anything with a sports hernia would be pleasant.
I've had a hernia. They're not fun. It's not
Is
fun.
it a sports hernia? Is it Is it a sports hernia just because you play sports? But if I got it, could I call it a sports hernia? Or could
No, I
just
think it's
call
the
it a hernia?
location. It's the location that it happens that makes it a quote unquote sports hernia. I don't think they're the same as like your regular, run of the mill hernia. I don't know. I don't know. But I think at least there is some belief that things are so far in this offseason pointed in a proper direction. Dave played last season with a podcast hernia.
Well, despite its name, a sports hernia is not actually a hernia.
Right, it's not. That's
This condition's true name is an athletic pubalgia. I don't know.
It's actually like more towards your abdomen than it is towards your
There's the most common type of hernia is the groin hernia.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
is when abdominal tissue, such as part of the
Tears.
intestine, pushes up against the opening in the abdominal wall.
That's what I had.
Sports hernia is a strain or tear of any soft tissue in the lower abdominal or groin area. So I guess I could have a sports hernia if I tore in that general region. So I should probably not do anything athletic anytime soon, so that I don't run the risk of that happening.
When's the last time you did anything athletic?
I played basketball with Will tonight.
How'd that go?
I dominated. We played on like a 4-foot hoop in the house.
Yeah,
he barely got a shot off.
He's 4.
I know. Well, take no prisoners.
Did you swat him and stare him down?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What did he say? What did he say?
He laughs at everything.
Okay. He tells me he wants to kill me.
Throw you into traffic, throw you onto a house. Yeah.
He wants to.
We're working on that.
he genuinely wants to murder me, Dave.
He's into injuries.
Did you give him the finger wave?
I think so. Maybe a couple times.
Watch out for that Jello shot hernia, David.
Get that weak stuff out. Gave him that a couple times, but
the Jello shot is more of like a shoulder.
Yeah, you can tear your rotator cuff. Yeah,
you can hurt your tongue.
You don't want to shoot them back too fast. You do some real damage.
There's jaw issues if you're like trying to get it out.
Heartburn.
Nah,
yeah, heartburn.
For the week.
All right, let's timestamp that one more time as we wrap up the football portion of the show. That was brought to you by Turtles Brew, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free, 6% ABV. I am going to get this up here, Dave, because they are no longer in the jugs, the milk cartons. If you're looking for Turtles Brew, this is what they look like now. Those are fancy. They might be a little too
as we
fancy.
like to call it in the biz. That's called a brand refresh.
That's a brand refresh in the new bottles. So that's what you're looking for. Turtlesbrew.com will show you where to get it. Wolfie says it's sitting in his fridge right now. Wolfie, do you go straight up with the 6% ABV, or do you kick it up a notch? I'm always curious to see how people handle that.
How people like their Turtles Brew.
Yeah, I mean, you had it just straight up Turtles Brew, right? And you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't really like whiskey, so I wouldn't be adding probably whiskey to it. But I'm sure. So you go up a notch.
Mix it up a notch. Yeah.
I feel like
What's your up a notch of choice, Wolfie? I'm working on New Riff. Like I'm trying. Like maybe New Riff wants to sponsor the podcast.
that'd be cool.
Like we can give you one of these every show. I'll just have it right here. Boom.
Yeah,
New Riff.
award-winning.
New Riff in Newport, Kentucky.
I actually did a.
Angels Envy. All right, that's.
I
good.
did a distillery tour there with some buddies when they were making their very first.
Yeah, I did
batch.
too. I worked at.
And
We did some stuff with Q102 with them at that.
And they were
point.
like, "This will be ready. This will be our first bottled in 5 years. You
Yeah.
guys taste like the corn mash or whatever."
They sold the white bourbon or the white
Yeah.
whiskey for a while. Don't want to add the good bourbon. No, I get you.
But yeah, so it's cool place.
Yes. I used to work with a lady. She's not there anymore, but she used to run like their event center on the top floor.
Yeah,
Amy Tobin. Yeah, I love that place. It's very cool. Natty Rom, what's up, brother? We are getting to basketball right now.
oh, I'm ready. Been doing a lot of research.
So we opined the other night how much.
Is this brought to us by anybody?
Yeah, I guess we could do Homefield here, just so we don't have to like accidentally squeeze it in at the end. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Homefield Apparel is sponsoring our basketball segment today. Go to homefieldapparel.com. They have a wonderful, fantastic selection of Cincinnati vintage branded Cincinnati gear. The hoodies are awesome. The joggers are awesome. The quarter zip is outstanding. I wore that last week. Great t-shirts from not only UC, but you can go down a big time rabbit hole of awesome t-shirts from all of the schools that they cover. I love their stuff. It is the most comfortable. The two hoodies are my two favorite hoodies. The Cats and then the Angry Bearcat. Not just because they look great, but because they're the most comfortable hoodies I own. BCJ23 is the code at checkout. That will save you 15% off of your order. Support the people that support us. Homefield has long, ever since the original launch of UC, when UC jumped into the top 4 of sales, in large part because of the Bearcat Journal community. They have been loyal to us, and we are loyal to them. So go to homefieldapparel.com, code BCJ23, and get some of your important Christmas shopping done for your loved ones. They will greatly appreciate it. What do you think, Dave?
I agree.
You're gonna get some Homefield apparel for Will?
I don't think they make stuff for kids yet.
I mean, I've got stuff for Kelsey. I mean, she's like
9 years older.
You can get
Like,
small, extra small.
I don't know.
It's a nightshirt for the little guy.
I'm not sure I'm ready to spend like $40 on a t-shirt for him when I just know there's going to be food and boogers and marker and.
They're not $40 for a t-shirt, Dave. Come on, it's like 26.
But no, I probably gonna wait a little bit on that.
All right, well, maybe Uncle Chad will get him a Homefield shirt, and that way he can stop trying to kill me every time I talk to you on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Chad, I'm gonna kill you.
Throw you into a
Will, what are we doing, homie?
And he laughs every time he says it, doesn't he?
He thinks it's the funniest stuff ever. It's probably my fault for playing along. I should be like, Will, that is not nice. And I'm like, instead, how are you going to kill me, Will?
You hurt my feelings.
No. And then I act like I'm crying And that he likes that even
Oh,
more.
yeah,
And he
he'll
made
tell
me
you.
cry.
He'll tell you to cry.
Cry, Chad, cry.
Mm-hmm.
Todd. Oh, that is, you have no idea, John, what it's like talking to Dave when Will's in the car.
Yeah.
It's either Chad, or Dad. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
All right, Crosstown Shootout. We joked this week that we didn't know about doing a Crosstown Shootout preview with Dave because we were pretty sure that he was not familiar with Xavier this year.
I can't pronounce half their players' names, first off.
So Will can say it to Chad, and it's funny when I type it in this chat room, and he's going to ban my account. Yeah, that's how it works.
He's 4.
Yeah, because he's 4. If you act 4 and you're not 4, I might ban you. If you are 4, I might give you the benefit of the doubt. And also, I still want to have my conversation with Dave. So if I banned Will, then I couldn't talk to Dave about things going on.
I can name 2. I can name Desmond Claude. I can name Quincy Oliveri. I can name Dalen Swain, and I think that's it.
No
Jerome
Davion McKnight.
Jerome Hunter. He's still
not on the team.
I just read an article that he's like practicing.
Well, he's not playing.
Okay,
He won't be back. He won't play for them this year.
Yeah, so I could name like 5 guys.
So in anticipation of this segment tonight, Dave watched Xavier play Delaware for 5 minutes last night.
Yeah.
What were your impressions?
They stink. Those were my impressions. So am I wrong?
So it's difficult because I don't think they're good, but they played Purdue tight. They played Houston tight. Like they're not as bad as they looked against Oakland and Delaware. They're also, I don't think, like as good as they looked against Houston and Purdue.
I think Purdue and Houston play very similar styles in that if the game is going a certain way, you can kind of stick in those games because they're not going to be like Houston plays with one of the slowest tempos in the country, I believe. And then, you know what I mean? Like they're, what you were talking about the Houston game, just like the flow of the game itself, there were a million fouls or whatever.
Especially in the second half. I think there were 10 straight possessions Houston was called for a foul.
There were certainly moments, and I did watch a decent amount of that game. There were certainly moments in that game where it felt like they were about to go on a run, and then things, whatever happened. But, here's my take on it. They might be good in a month. They might be good in 2 months. But if you lose at home to Oakland and Delaware, I can't say you're good right now. And UC is playing good right now. And yes, this will clearly be a big test for them because they have, as you guys talked about Monday, they have not won a game in the Cintas Center since Steve freaking Logan was on the team.
Right. We got a firsthand account of the last win at Cintas Center by 2001 All-American.
So I don't even know if I'm in a frame of mind to say that they're going to win because we have 20 damn years of it not happening.
22.
So, but that being said, UC is playing better basketball. So to me, this game is about UC. This game is not about Xavier and what they do good and what they do poorly. This is about UC. Are you playing good enough? Are you at a point where you're going to go into their gym and you're better? You're playing better. Are you going to have the energy all game? Are the guys on the bench going to be, out of their minds the whole game? Like, own the moment, own the energy, own the atmosphere, and just play much better than them, which has been a problem for 20-something years. We have had several teams that we knew were much better than them, and they walk in there, and within the first 4 minutes, the game's 16-4, and it's over.
Yeah. I mean, I joked with Wes about this, and he didn't want to buy into my trap. But I don't know how many years at the second TV timeout it's 19-8 or 24-9.
Yeah.
And you're clawing out of a hole the entire game in their gym. They get a generous whistle in their gym. Some of that is to their credit because they attack you and they try to put fouls on you.
Every home team gets a generous whistle.
Yeah, but one of their styles of play is to draw fouls. And when they do it in their own gym, of course, look, Dave, I'm going to tell, this is probably going to be popular. The Houston game, you know what Houston did a lot? They fucking fouled. It's what they do all the time.
Yeah.
They dare you. They challenge referees and basically say, you're not going to be able to call every foul. And that referee crew said, well, is that challenge accepted? We are going to call every foul. Credit to Xavier because they continued attacking and they continued hanging fouls on Houston. I think this is the key to the game, Dave. Not fouling them. Taking away that portion of their offense, because what it does is it slows the game down. And it does not let you offensively find your rhythm because every 90 seconds in real time, you're stopping. And you're either inbounding the ball or I think there was 14 minutes left in the second half. They were in the bonus. I think it was 11 or 12 minutes left in the second half. It was in the double bonus. So Xavier was shooting 2 free throws the rest of the way. So that's if you time a trip to the line, that's 2.5 minutes of stoppage every time. By the time the whistle blows, the teams huddle up, guy goes to the free throw line, dicks around, shoots a free throw,
gets high fives.
Right. You're dealing with 2.5 minutes of stoppage time. Right. That is a style of play. Cincinnati is one of the best teams in the country at not fouling. If they don't foul, I think it's going to throw off how Xavier runs offense. Although I will say, last night was a statistical anomaly. I believe they shot 50% from the floor, right around 50% from three.
They did.
And over 70% from the free throw line. And they just weren't better. They weren't good enough to beat Delaware.
I think that statement is I imagine is very hard for them to comprehend right now.
Yeah.
That if you just look at now, they also turned it over 17 times.
20, right around 20 times. I think Delaware had 30 points off turnovers.
Well, they also killed them in the paint.
Yeah, that. So
that's the spot. That's the spot to me that UC, if UC is going to win, they need to be dominant in the paint, which they have been to this point this season. And I even count Dan in that big because of how good he is rebounding. Their post guys are not good.
No, but
so we have to take advantage of that.
I don't think it's just post up. So what Houston and Purdue did that I thought got them in trouble is a lot of the ball movement was lateral. And they actually, between McKnight and Claude and Oliveri, they are not terrible defensively 1, 2, 3. And Swain, I've loved Dalen Swain since he was a sophomore in high school. I think he is going to be a star there.
Well, hopefully he gets that big boy on Saturday because he's still 17, 16 years old or whatever.
He's 17, but look, the kid is going to be really good, and he's had a really good start to his career. But what teams have done is they've attacked them from every position going to the rim, just downhill. Houston didn't do it. Houston moved the ball side to side and counted on. What does Houston always count on, Dave? It's Bob Huggins. We're going to throw it up and we're going to go get it. And they didn't go get it. Like, the ball bounced Xavier's way that game. Xavier was really good rebounding the basketball. They out-rebounded Houston offensively and defensively, which happens to Houston like once a century at this point. But I thought a lot of that was because they didn't attack from every spot.
I would be pretty stunned if Day and Jizzle aren't in their typical attack mode.
Go. Well, with Houston, I didn't understand. Like, they barely threw the ball to Juwan Roberts. Like, coming off of that Oakland game where the small or the power forward from Oakland just torched them time and time again. Like, why didn't you follow that game plan? Juwan Roberts he's been playing college basketball since like 2012. Throw him the ball and let him go get work done. But instead, what you can't do against this Xavier team is let their three perimeter guys be able to guard you, because those guys can. Like, they can guard you 1 through 3. They can't guard 4 and 5. And it's like, and that means if you beat your guy, if you come off a ball screen and you go downhill, they're not looking to block your shot. They're not looking to be tough. They quit against Oakland or Delaware. In that final 5 minutes, they quit. Like, they had no fight in them. And that place sounded, I was driving to the hospital with Kelsey at that point in time. And I actually wondered, are Byron Larkin and Joe Sunderman in the arena? Did they leave them at home to call this game? Because you could hear a pin drop.
Well, if it was the last couple of years, they would have been at home.
I still don't think they're sending them on the road.
No, they are.
Oh, they are? They are?
Yeah.
Okay, they went back to it finally?
Last
year they were.
I think they did last year.
No, last year they were still.
Because I asked someone, and they said that they are.
Maybe, okay. Maybe they changed it at the end of the year, but for a portion of last year, I was listening to games where they were watching on a monitor back at the Cintas Center while Xavier was at Villanova or whatever. If you're aggressive,
just be the better damn team, because everybody knows that we are right now. And
so
that doesn't mean that they're going to win, because
no.
I mean, like I said,
the game's essentially a pickup.
We haven't won there in how many damn years? So
22.
And every time Xavier was not the better team. So
right. Xavier fans right now are happy as a pig in shit in terms of, like, this is when they win at times, right? Like, I mean, this is one of their strong suits. They're a wounded animal. Cincinnati
the difference is this time, how many of the guys on this team for them have played in this game before?
One. They have one guy that's played in this game.
UC doesn't have very many more, but
they have Vic, John Newman,
Odie,
Skillings, Odie. At least there's guys that are going to be on the floor. Even
at the times when, back in the day, when, yes, UC was the better team going in or whatever, they still had a roster full of dudes that had played in the game.
Yeah. They knew what the game was about.
Like, good luck explaining to the Eastern Bloc, their whole Eastern Bloc front line, what this is all about.
So your take essentially is UC needs to do what they do, and they can win this game.
Yes, play your game. Everybody do what they've done at their best moments of the season. You don't have to. This isn't well, God, if this guy's going to have to do this, and this guy's going to have to do that, and no, just understand. As best the new guys obviously will not, but understand the best you can what the environment is going to be like, and that environment could turn real quick if they match, if they come out and play the way they're capable of playing. Like, this is all about UC. This has nothing to do with X, because they're not playing well right now. Like, they can say that, this is the perfect time or whatever, but like, there's nothing that they're showing right now to say that all of a sudden those things that are plaguing them are going to change, because I'm not sure there are things that are like, well, we're just shooting bad right now. Like, it's a current makeup of the team. And I think Sean Miller even kind of mentioned it last night after the game. I mean, what did he say? We're kind of like lost right now, or we're leaderless right now.
Yeah, leaderless. Like, we're playing without a leader.
Well, I don't think that's going to change in 72 hours. Is it? Like,
Hope not. Hope not.
I don't know. Like, but again, like, it's a huge rivalry game, so crazy stuff can and often does happen, but to me, this is just about UC seizing, being very cliche and saying seizing the moment and playing like a team that is playing well and has the confidence to go in there and win.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at them right now, they essentially have two guys that are playing really well, or playing well. I don't know about really well, but playing well. Desmond Claude, who is their best, he's their most talented player. He's in year 2, and I think they skipped a step with him, because I don't think he's necessarily ready to be an alpha. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he had a good freshman year. I think he's a guy that is probably gonna like have an NBA future. Excuse me, hiccups. Because of his size and his length and his ability to kind of versatile in offense. But right now he's shooting 25% from 3. And he's turning it over quite a bit. He's scoring 16 points a game, but a lot of it is volume. He's shooting 45% from the floor. He's only shooting 25% from 3. And, he's only got 30 assists in 9 games for a guy that's got the ball in his hands a lot. He's also turned it over 20 times. So, he's just not, I don't think at this point, advanced enough to be like, we need you to lead a team of you and 10 new guys.
Right.
I don't think it's fair to him, realistically.
Yeah.
But that's what they need from him, because he's their only returner. Quincy Oliveri started slow. He has been really good of late for them. That, I think, if you shut him down, I wonder where does their scoring come from in this game?
Yeah.
Him and Claude are both averaging 16.1 points a game. They're averaging 75 points a game. 32.2 of those points are coming from those two guys. If you take, Dave, aren't we essentially talking about Cincinnati last year with Dave and Landers?
Yes, to some degree. Mm-hmm.
If you take one of those two out of the mix, I don't know where their scoring comes from.
Right.
You have. Go ahead.
No, I'm just, and all of that just kind of comes back to the UC's been I think the numbers still bear out, but a very good 3-point defensive team.
Yes.
And I don't think Xavier is a great 3-point shooting team. UC's been a very good defensive rebounding team. They don't typically foul very much. They don't turn the ball over very much. They've been more than 2-1, sometimes 3-1 assist to turnovers. So just just play your game. Like,
Right.
Yeah. Find the guys you need to find. Like, Xavier's winning or has a great chance to win if Quincy Oliveri does what he did last night. But if you can keep him,
but they couldn't beat Delaware when he scored 34.
That's my point. If you can keep him somewhat in check, who is this other out of nowhere person that's gonna take up that slack?
I mean, it's him and Claude, and let's go down the rest. Geddes Nemeska, 8.3 points per game.
I think I had that sophomore year.
Geddes Nemeska?
Yeah, I got some antibiotics for it.
Davion McKnight is shooting 41% from the floor, 15% from three, 66% from the free throw line, averaging 7.8 points per game. Abu Usman fouls more than – never mind. He's averaging 7.8 points per game. Trey Green, 6.4 points. Dalen Swain, 6.3. Sasha Siani, 4.0. Lazar Djokovic, 3.8. And that's pretty much their rotation. Like, they have two players in double figures and a bunch of they're Jags. Dave, they're Jags. They're just guys.
Yeah.
It's average guys.
I mean, if you're just looking at KenPom numbers, UC is now a top 30 team in both offense and defense. 33rd offense.
As we all predicted at the beginning of the year, yeah.
Xavier's dropped to 7. They're still a good defensive team at 36, but their offense has taken a hit. They're down to 76th offensively in KenPom.
I will also say I think their defensive numbers have been boosted by that St. Mary's game. St. Mary's is terrible.
Yeah.
They're bad. They're really bad. Like, I think they would be below 50 if you take out.
And we're still in the under 10 game sample size.
Yes, sure. But again, you're muted. Whatever you did, you're muted. Pickle must have got you. She got you again.
I had something. Sorry.
Oh. But I think also, like, a lot of it is also what we talked about. Purdue, Houston, St. Mary tried to beat them with their guards. And I just don't think I don't think that's how you beat them. I think there are three guys at the top of the roster can defend. But I don't think they can defend the rim. And I think if you play downhill, you get them in big trouble. And I don't I'm not saying not to shoot a bunch of threes. I'm saying not to settle for threes.
Right.
Like, you have to get your shoulder square, get downhill, and that's when that Xavier defense breaks down. If you allow them to kind of stay set and stay stationary, I guess is the best word that I'm looking for, where their guards stay in front of you and stay in front of your wings, they do have a decent defense. But the minute you get to the paint, they fold like a cheap suit.
Mm.
This is the game Day and Jizzle should eat. Hypothetically, like, yes. But 2 point guards that have never played in an environment like this, guess what? They weren't great against Howard, Wolfie. Like, that gives me a little bit of pause with those two. Wouldn't you agree, Dave?
Yeah, you just have to see, how they handle the situation. How much do they learn from that game? How much, I think Jizzle's taking steps.
Yes.
I
don't think he's taking steps, Dave. I think he's taking strides.
Yeah, but I mean, just like game over game, you're seeing improvement.
That's what I'm saying. He's not taking steps. He's taking strides. Jizzle was pretty good against Howard. Jizzle was pretty good at Howard in the final 5 minutes.
For like 5
minutes.
He was
not good the other 30, like what, when he played in the other 35 minutes, he struggled. Both of them, that was going to be like, until Jizzle had that spurt at the end that kind of helped save the game. My takeaway from that game was going to be the point guards had their first hiccup.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been point guards that have been torturing Xavier. It's been 3s and 4s and 5s that have been torturing them.
That's why I'm looking at Dan,
yeah.
As be that
I think
difference maker from an athletic standpoint, from a rebounding standpoint, that gets them in a lot of trouble.
Here's something I think we're forgetting about, Dave, that we have not talked about much.
What's that?
And we don't know what kind of shape he's going to be in. But Simas Lukosius has tortured Xavier.
Yeah.
Like big games. Not kind of big games. Big games. Newman, I think, is another one that can really cause them problems. Like, I would look. I know they like their 2 big lineup. I know it's something that they want to play a lot. I would look at playing Newman and Simas as much at the 4 as possible, because I just don't think they can defend it. I don't think they have the guys to defend it.
I think just whether it's Newman, Skillings, Jizzle, Day, like, just be less. I think it's less so him, but relentless.
I don't because I think he can play. I think one of the things that hurts them is ball screens. I think you put Simas and Vic or Simas and Aziz in ball screens against their defense.
Yeah. I'm just saying the guys that have that ability, like, just relentlessly try to get to the paint.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe you get a charge or two, like, but that's part of the deal. Like,
we're not seeing a lot of charges anymore.
Right,
guys can't just jump in front of a guy and grab their nuts and fall down.
Like, just catch it on the wing and first step, get in the middle.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm getting
their
at.
Big guys move. Don't just pass it around looking to hit a pick and pop necessarily. Like, get their guys out of position, get in the middle, use whether it's Vic's size, Aziz's size and athletic ability, like, use that to your advantage.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. If they lose this one, it's going to be tough to swallow.
Yeah.
But do I think it's a referendum on anything? No.
20 minutes ago, I said they stink.
They don't stink. It's not good.
I don't know. I said
that's not for being diplomatic.
If you lost at home to Delaware and Oakland, the only thing I can infer is that you kind of stink.
Here's what's crazy to me.
Right now, you might be good in February, but right now.
Here's what's crazy to me, Dave. You had lost at home to Oakland. You had lost at home to Houston. How were they not desperately hungry to beat Delaware? That did not look like a team last night that was desperate for anything other than to go home.
And that's the thing. If you got that dog in you, like, you come out and you're like, we are blowing these MFers out of this gym.
Right.
Like, we are taking all of our frustrations over losses to good teams and losses to bad teams and all the crap we've gone through in practice. Like, screw the shootout. Like, these dudes are getting blown out.
Right. We are getting right before the shootout. We are beating these dudes' ass. And
that is a mentality. That speaks to Sean Miller saying we are leaderless.
No, it was Quincy Oliveri. It was one of the players.
It was.
Said it.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
I just saw a post game. I assumed
it was Oliveri. It was one of the players.
Oh, well, that
said we're leaderless. That's worse than Sean Miller saying it, I think.
Yeah, because looking at you, buddy.
Right? Like, and Here's the other thing that I think is really tough, Dave. When you bring Europeans over, no matter how good they are used to a brand of basketball that is very different than American basketball.
Yeah, it's much more free-flowing
and physical. Like, I don't even know if free-flowing. Like, European basketball is pretty free-flowing. Like, it's a very skilled game. It is not the type of game that you see when you play in the Big East or
when you play Houston,
right?
Or or Purdue and their 9-7-4 white guys.
We saw it with Vic. It took Vic a while to understand, and I still don't think he's fully comfortable with like the physicality of the American game. I think it's just something you have to grow and learn, which means it's what you're saying. Like in 2 months, the light might go off for some of these guys where they're tired of getting beat up every night and they respond. Maybe it happens Saturday. I don't know. But what we've seen from them through their first, month of the season is that they're not a physical team. They're not. They want to do that with Usman, but he fouls every 25 seconds. I don't know. I just play well and win the game. Win the damn game, Dave. Win the damn game.
I don't give a shit how. Because like you are setting yourself up because, and again, it's very, very early. I mean, we have a whole Big 12 slate where the Big 12 is an absolutely hilarious conference outside of Texas, just absolutely getting destroyed by Marquette tonight. They're down 30.
That one, 81-49.
But like, you have two teams, West Virginia and Oklahoma State, have 4 losses. Nobody else has more than 2, and there's still 6 teams that are undefeated. So like, there's a insane amount of basketball to be played. But like,
there are 14 undefeated teams in America out of 350 whatever schools. 6 of them are in the Big 12.
Yeah. So there's a lot to be played, but like, and things can happen. But like, UC is absolutely putting themselves in a position to be a tournament team. And regardless of what Xavier's record is currently, we know good and well they're going to get some nice Big East wins, especially at Cintas. So just win the game. Like, I don't care if it's by 1 or 30. Will it be more fun if it's by 30? Sure. But just figure out a way to win the game because it will benefit you in the long run. And it's just another chip that you're stacking on a tournament resume that I think they're going to be right in the middle of come 2 months from now. But if you lose this game, you have one more, you're on mute by the way, you have one more, semi-decent opportunity with Dayton being a pretty solid team that like, you just put yourself in this weird position again that it's like if you were to happen to lose that game, you're whatever and 2 in non-conference, but the 2 teams that most people would say are tournament-y fringe, you lost to. So now you're just putting an unbelievable amount of stress on yourself in Big 12 play. Like, just go win the game, man. You're better. You're playing better. Like,
well, here's the other reality, Dave. If you can't win at Xavier against this Xavier team,
yeah, well, you're gonna go win at Baylor. You're gonna go win at Fog. You're gonna go win at Kansas State. Like, I don't even know if we play all those teams on the road. I know, obviously, I know.
Yes,
but the point remains.
Yes. How many road wins are you going to get in the Big 12?
Right.
There's a lot on the line.
Yeah.
There's a lot on the line.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Because in recent years, we've wanted to win the game, but we kind of also knew what kind of team we had, so there wasn't as as much
right.
on the line, so to speak.
Right. Like, if this is going to be a tournament team, you got to go win this game.
Absolutely.
Like, the must-win thing, is it a must-win? It's kind of a don't lose.
I'm
right?
not going to say
Like,
it's a must-win because you have however many 20-something other games, and if
Yeah.
you were to win at Baylor or at Kansas and lose this game, no one's going to think twice about it. But
right.
But you're better. You're playing better. Like,
And also, if you're going to win this city back over, like if you're going to plant your flag and say Cincinnati basketball is back, go beat X. They're not good. They're not good. I don't think they're bad, but they're clearly not good. They're 4-5. And they've lost it. Washington has talent, but Washington's not good. Like, I know Xavier fans want to hang their hat on Purdue didn't blow us out, and we hung tight with Houston at home. You lost to Washington, who's average at best and probably below average. And you lost at home to Oakland, and you lost to Delaware. You're not good. You're not good. Go win the game. Go win the game Saturday night.
Washington is 5-3.
Yeah.
Their wins are Bellarmine, Northern Kentucky, Xavier, UC San Diego, and Montana State.
Right.
It's like they're not good.
No. No. Who are their losses?
I've already left the page, but Nevada, San Diego State, and I think Colorado State.
It's not like they're losing to, USC, like, come on. That's not a good Washington team. They've lost to 3 bad teams. They've lost to 2 really good teams. And that gets back to like the whole Xavier's more battle tested. They've lost 3 bad games. They've lost the 2 games they were supposed to lose were probably closer than expected. They still lost those games, and they've also lost to 3 below average to bad teams. Delaware was on a 3-game losing streak coming into that game last night, Dave.
Yeah.
Go win the game.
Exactly.
Go into Cintas Center. Prove, for Aaron's sake, prove that the win in the TBT was meaningful. that it changed the vibe. It changed the direction. It changed the luck. Go prove that. And walk out of there Saturday night at 8:30 with a win.
Yes,
Colorado
sir.
State, the surprise of the season? No. Surprise of the season is BYU, and it's not close. BYU's number 1 in net. I think they were picked 13th in the conference. They're number 1 in the country in net.
Colorado State is ranked, so that's.
I know, but BYU is the surprise of the season.
Yeah.
Without question. Colorado State is another great story. BYU, nobody saw that coming. Not a damn person.
So yeah, it's these are the type of games you don't have to really say a whole lot. Like, just go out there and play your game, and nobody has to do anything miraculous. You don't need any, nobody has to have the so-and-so game where, we don't need a Jake Browning performance where out of nowhere he throws 2 actual incompletions on 37 attempts. Just all the stuff you've worked on, all the stuff you've put out there, shown you can do, that'll be good. You do that, you're going to win. So,
yeah. Sorry, Kelsey doesn't feel well, so she let the puppy down while we were broadcasting, and the puppy again destroyed another couch cover because nobody was paying attention to her. And now I have to spend more money than I want to on a new couch cover.
Sounds like
So if I seem a little agitated,
sounds like a puppy problem.
well, I mean, the general, when she doesn't have the flu, that you keep the dog up in your room while I'm alive because I can't watch her when I'm live. It's not the puppy's fault. Like the puppy, she wants
It's not the
attention.
puppy's fault. It's your fault for getting the puppy.
Yeah, I needed that puppy. I needed that puppy. So, you got anything else? What's your prediction?
I'm not giving a prediction.
I want your damn prediction, Dave.
We win. That's my prediction.
That's all I need. Cincinnati.
I don't even like saying it because
you don't deep in your heart. It's been 22 years.
I gotta show me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they should win.
Yeah.
I think they are superior. They have superior talent. They have way more age, and
I mean, we have to prove we have the better Miller.
Right. Bearcats win comfortably. John White believes that they dial it back to 2001 with Steve Logan hitting a layup to put them up by 22 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
To end that game. If they play well, John, it's definitely possible that they control this game. But I just want to be look, Dave, I want it to be 17-14 at the second media timeout. As long as it's not 19-6.
Yeah.
17-14, I can live with. You can come back from 17-14. 19-6.
It's a little harder.
Just scratching and clawing the entire way. 86-65, Marquette dumps Texas. Wow. If we play like they did against Georgia Tech, yeah, I'm all for that. Hey, look, if they put a 30-2 run on X in the Crosstown Shootout, let's go. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Brendan Sorsby, it's Bearcat. You got a lot of your firepower at the core of your roster that has announced their return, and the Crosstown Shootout is coming up on Saturday. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you. That's the BCJ podcast brought to you by right here on BearcatJournal.com.